Hello everybody! Today we will answer your most asked questions about the Greece trip. Magdalena will ask your question and I will answer it. So let's get started, come on board, let's fly! Okay, departure time is 01. So nice, look at this. So Magdalena, what is the first question?
So we have several questions, and the first question is from Stefan. He wants to know, what advice can you give to speak more fluently on the radio?
So the best thing if you want to practice your radio communication skills is to practice them, and so I would recommend you use every opportunity to talk to some frequencies, to ATC or to information frequencies that you can practice it. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, and also the controller know that you're not a professional commercial pilot, so it's not so it's not such a drama if you make some small mistakes. Yeah. But it's really the best if you practice it, if you use every opportunity. Always try to fly straight, and if you need to cross airport and the airspace of an airport, call the radar frequency and ask for crossing the airspace. So that's the best training you can get when you practice it. So we will try this now. I will call now Vienna information, Wien information, and ask for traffic information, and that's a good practice. Let's see if I make mistakes. Okay, let's try it. Wien information, Delta Echo Sierra November Alpha, good morning.
Delta Echo Sierra November Alpha, good morning, go ahead.
Delta Echo Sierra November Alpha, Delta Alpha 40, 4,600 feet, climbing 8,500 feet, just departed 5 minutes ago in Seitenstetten, request traffic information, direction Dachstein and back.
Delta Echo Sierra November Alpha, Roger, QNH 9994.
QNH 9994, Delta Echo Sierra November Alpha. Okay, so we just asked for traffic information on Wien information, and he's watching us now on his radar. And we also hear the other frequencies, and that's a very good practice. And
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's also safer, of course. Another good tip for practicing your communication skills is to use a knee board. We have this knee board. We made it for our own needs. So here we have the most important frequencies in our area. Then we have the date, the aircraft, and the airport of departure, the time of departure, and the airport of arrival and the arrival time. If we need to call some frequencies, we can write down the frequency and the name of the station, and also the most asked questions, QNH 9994 today, and squawk, and the altitude we are climbing to. And if you need to write down notes, you can write them down here. So you can make this table like you need it. So that's perfect for our needs, and we use it very often, and it helps to communicate because you have all the important notes just next to you. And something else which is very helpful for communication is when you use a tablet with a navigation app. Here we use SkyBeamer. It's really helpful for communication because when you know where you are and when you see all the waypoints next to you, it's really helpful. You also see the airspace. We are now in airspace Echo, and all the important frequencies, Wien information, and so on. So that's very helpful for communication. If you don't really know where you are, of course, that's never a good idea. Always you have to know where you are, and that's really helpful. So even when you fly somewhere where you never have been before. So what's the next question, Magdalena?
Yeah, I just wanted to say it's so calm today. There is almost no traffic, maybe because it's the 29th of December.
Yeah, so nice.
But it's beautiful weather. So, okay, the next question is from Jörg. He wants to know, well, he says it would be interesting for general aviation pilots to get some pros and cons to chosen destinations. What would you do different next time?
Okay, so let's go over all the airports where we have been to.
All right.
So the first airport was Porto Roche.
Yes.
Porto Roche is always a good airport. I think it's one of the best airports in Europe. It also won some competitions. So it's affordable, you get a very good service, you get AVGAS, they have a nice restaurant.
Not so expensive, yeah.
Yeah, you get customs, and you also have a bus, a shuttle bus to the city, which is affordable. So Porto Roche is a good choice. So the next airport was Dubrovnik. Dubrovnik is a very nice airport. They have very good service. The handling is very good. It's a bit expensive.
Yeah.
I think they raised the prices recently. We paid over 100 euros for landing and handling. But if you want to visit Dubrovnik, the city is very nice. There is no other choice to land on this airport. But it's very friendly also for general aviation. So in general, it's a good choice. Besides that, it's a bit expensive. The next one was Corfu. Corfu is a very nice airport. If you want to visit Corfu, and also the runway is very attractive. It ends in the water, very special, and it's also a bit more on the expensive side. And they're a bit crowded, they don't have so much space, so you need to make a PPR, prior permission required in advance, and so you need to write them an email with certain informations, and then you get the PPR reply. But in general it's a nice airport. But if you just want to enter Greece, you don't need to land in Corfu. You can also land in Ioannina. I cannot really pronounce it correctly, but it's a bit more cheap and also very general aviation friendly. So if you want to enter Greece, you don't need to go via Corfu, you can go via Ioannina. They're more affordable. So the next airport was Megara. If you want to fly to Athens, I think Megara is the best choice because it's very cheap. We paid something like 28 euros for landing and parking 2 nights, and they also have AVGAS. It's a military airport,
close to Athens.
Very special, and there's a. It takes just 50 minutes to Athens.
Leaving altitude.
We have to keep this altitude now. 1 second. We talk too much.
Please watch your instruments as well.
Yes. So,
Athens.
Yeah, we stopped in Athens. So if you want to fly to Athens, it's a very nice city. So stop in Megara, but write them several days in advance, minimum 2 days. I wrote them 1 week before because you need a permission to land there, and just write them an email and they will reply, and then you can land. And you need to write the permission number in your flight plan, otherwise they will not allow you to take off from your origin airport. But in general it's no problem if you make it like this. So the next airport was Syros. Syros is very nice small island. The people were very friendly. It was also it was not very cheap, but also not very expensive. We paid around 70 euros for landing, handling, parking 1 night. And they also have AVGAS, so if you need to refill AVGAS, it's a good choice, because in Greece it's not so easy to get AVGAS. But it's a bit expensive, the AVGAS, but you don't have a lot of choices. There is also the other airports. There's Mykonos and Santorini. They're more busy, I guess. So Syros is a very nice alternative. What was next? Next was Zakynthos. So Zakynthos is a very nice island. If you want to fly to this island, there's only 1 airport. It's very expensive for what you get. So if you don't want to fly to Zakynthos, I would recommend you not to fly to this airport because it's just too expensive for what you get on this airport. But the island is so nice, so if you want to fly there, there is no alternative.
This bay with the old ship, it's just incredible.
Yes, it's so incredible nice there. Yeah. So the next was Brindisi. We did not really plan to fly to Brindisi. We wanted to fly to Salerno and visit the Amalfi coast, but they did not reply our handling request. We wrote them 1 week before we intended to fly to Salerno, and we also called them several times, and they told me on the phone, we will reply soon, everything is fine, and they never replied for my request. So we just changed the plan and flew to Brindisi, and in Brindisi the people were very unfriendly, it was very expensive, and it was very windy. You remember the wind?
Yes, it was so windy.
Oh, it was terrible. And so we took off again and flew to Fano. So if you want to land somewhere in the south area of Italy, I would recommend to land in Foggia. Foggia is also in the south. It's a small airport, friendly for general aviation, affordable, they have AVGAS, and so don't fly to Brindisi, fly to Foggia.
But they have AVGAS as well in Brindisi.
Yeah, they have AVGAS in Brindisi. That was more or less the only reason we landed in Brindisi. We refueled. We also wanted to fly to Foggia instead of Salerno, but Foggia had closed because I think they renovated their runway or something like this. And also we wanted to fly to Rome Urbe, but Rome Urbe was also closed. I think also because they renovated their runway. It was strange. And then we just changed the plan. In the north there was Fano, the next airport. Fano was very nice, very affordable, and they had AVGAS. The city is close by with the taxi 5 minutes, and there's a very nice city. You can also visit San Marino with a rental car. Just takes 1 hour by car. It's very special, San Marino on the mountain. And the next was Venice. Venice is always a good destination. It's very futuristic on the beach. Not futuristic, it's very it's spectacular on the beach. You can see the city of Venice, just take a ship and in 20 minutes you're in the city. So Venice is a very nice airport for a trip. So that's it, that was the airports and what we would make different next time. So what is the next question?
Okay, the next question is from Bettina. She wants to know how much were the landing and handling fees and the AVGAS price at different airports.
Oh yeah, so I will just show you a table. You can pause the video and check all the fees. So what's the next question?
Well, that's fast. Alright, so which flight app do you use on the tablet?
Yes, so I use SkyDemon. I use it now since about 2 years. It's very good. You can see all the important information. You can see the next frequencies. You can see the airspace which you're in, and you can see information about airports. So if I just type here, you can insert the information, landing information. You can see the runway, the frequencies, and also net forecast. So it's very helpful.
There are so many details.
Yes, you can use it on the PC for planning, and then you can save your planned route to the cloud and open it on the tablet on your smartphone, and it's in general very helpful.
Yes, it was especially helpful for the estimated time. Remember, in Greece they always wanted to know the estimated time.
Yes, you always have to report the estimated arrival time, and so there's a very nice feature. You just type in on this sign, and then you can see all the waypoints, and you can see the time for the next waypoint, and you can report the estimated arrival time for the next points and also for your destination. We use a power bank to give the tablet enough energy, and also the tablet is not very reliable. If it's hot in the cockpit, it will switch off because it overheats. So I placed the tablet just next to the to the fan, and you can open it, and it always gets fresh air and gets cooled, so that it's not switching off. That's very important for the tablet. Just make sure don't get dependent on the tablet, because when it's overheating it will switch off. So always use a backup. So we use the GPS from the airplane, and we also use a paper map. So we have 1 or 2 backups, and also on the smartphone I have the map. So don't just rely on one navigation aid. Use multiple backups. What's the next question?
Okay, so Marcus is asking, where is Chimix? I can't find it in SkyDemon.
So yes, Chimix is an Airway reporting point. You need to turn it on here in the left, in the right corner. You need to type waypoints and then Airway reporting point, Luftstraßen Meldepunkte, and then they will pop up, those little points here, Gamli and so on. And you can use those points for boundary crossing points in your flight plan.
Which weather app do you use?
Oh yeah, I use multiple weather apps. So for an imminent flight, I use the home briefing from Austrocontrol, homebriefing.com, with the weather service. It's very reliable, and it shows you short-term weather, which is most of the time very precise, and also all the satellite pictures and so on. For forecast for more days in advance, I use different apps like Wetter Online, or Windy, Windfinder, and also AeroWeather, which shows you very nice the weather forecast. So always compare different forecasts to get a clearer picture. If you need to plan more days in advance, you can make a bit better planning. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, and are they accurate? Are they all predicting the same weather?
It depends on the weather situation. In summertime, they are most of the time not accurate because the weather is so unstable. So it's difficult to make a precise weather forecast. But in general, the direction is the right direction.
Okay. So the next question is, how do you plan such a trip?
So first I start by looking on Google Maps, which is the interesting area I want to fly to. And then I compare this with SkyDemon and check where are all the airports close to the interesting places. And then I have this special table. It's this table, and I make this table for a 1-week flight trip. So I write the airport of destination, the airport of departure and the departure time, and the airport of arrival and the arrival time. And then I calculate with SkyDemon the distance, the flight time, the fuel consumption. I check which altitude do I need to fly, and the estimated arrival time on the boundary point, and the flight information reached. And so I make this for all flight legs. So on one paper I have all important information which I need for a 1-week flight trip. And also I have this every leg saved in SkyDemon, and when I want to fly this leg, I open it in SkyDemon and I just fly it. And also on homebriefing.com I also prepare the flight plans, and then I just open the flight plan, and so it's very easy and everything is prepared. A good flight preparation makes the flight more easy, and also try to memorize the map in your head, that you get a rough picture where you want to fly. It's really helpful during the flight. Yes.
And how long do you need to prepare it?
So it depends on the flight. So for this Greece trip, it took me several evenings to plan it and to get a clearer picture. Yeah.
But when you had it, it was easier, probably. during the flight?
Yes, it's much easier when you have a good preparation. The preparation is everything. And then also, if you need to change your plan, which can happen like in Brindisi and Salerno on our trip,
Yes.
it's not so difficult. You just plan a different airport, but it's important to have a basic plan.
And since you planned it in advance, was it accurate?
Yes, it was very accurate. In Greece, we had to insert some waypoints. They prefer to get more waypoints on the route. Did not insert so many waypoints, but that was more or less the only difference.
I remember you calculated the exact like fuel or liters,
Yes.
gallons we would need.
The fuel consumption,
Yes.
it was quite precise, and so that's very helpful.
Where do you get reliable information about destination airports?
Oh yes, so if it's a big airport, I always check the AIP on homebriefing.com for each country, and you get all important information for all the big airports from the ARP. So if you need to make a PPR and so on, it's written where you have to send the PPR, the handling companies and so on. If it's a small airport, most of the time nowadays they have websites. You can check the websites, all the information, and also in SkyDemon it's very nice. You can just click on an airport and type information, and then there are pilot notes, and they write what they like about this airport and what's their experience with this airport. So that's very helpful. So the best tip is, if you know somewhere who has been to this airport, ask him. So I had a good friend, Roman. He had been to Megara before. So I asked Roman, what's your experience with Megara? He told me very useful information, and that's always the best if you ask someone who has already been to this place.
Alright, so there's another question from Annie, who wants to know, how did you plan your trip in accordance with the weather? Was everybody flexible with the date, and do you have a tip?
Yes, so we planned to fly from Friday to Friday, and we had 2 spare days, Saturday and Sunday. So if the weather is bad, you have 2 days which you can stay on some airport and wait that the weather gets better. So don't plan until the last day. Add several days to the planning, which you can stay somewhere. We also spent 2 days in Athens, and so you can be a bit more flexible, because weather is always the most dangerous thing in aviation. So don't risk anything. Just wait that the weather gets better, or turn around if it's bad. We always plan, when it's possible, that we fly in the morning, several hours, 2 to 3 hours, and then we arrive at the destination, and then we make sightseeing at the destination. We spend all the day at the destination, and the next day we continue in the morning again. So that's a very good sequence for such a trip. On this flight we also had some days where we were flying all the day, and that's very exhausting. It's not good for your concentration. So I would recommend always fly in the morning. You can stay focused and plan your trip that you're in the afternoon at your next destination, and then you can enjoy the destination, and you're always awake during the flight. So the concentration is very important.
So you kind of answered it already, but Martin is also asking, how many days was your trip?
So it was 8 days from Friday to Friday, and with the 2 separate days, Saturday and Sunday, but we did not need them. We were back on Friday, and we had about 18 flight hours. So on 6 days we were flying. Yes.
Okay. The next question is, do you need to announce your flight in advance?
Yes, for such a trip, it's important to make a flight plan. When you cross the boundary, most of the time it's obligatory, and so you insert the boundary crossing point and all your information. And if you make a flight plan, of course, it's much safer. The search and rescue team knows everything about your flight, and
That's good to know.
that's very important. in Greece, I think it's also obligatory to make a flight plan. And also it helps a lot with the communication. For example, on the flight in Croatia, we just told them our call sign and they already knew everything, which route we are flying and so on. So you don't need to talk so much and explain everything to the next station again. So whenever possible, always make a flight plan. It's really helpful.
What is needed to fly VFR to foreign countries?
So besides the normal flight preparation and all your normal documents, flight license and so on, you always need an English flight certificate. So in Austria that's called EFZ or AFZ. And also you need an English proficiency remark in your flight license, level 4, 5 or 6 to make flights abroad. And also you need an ID or passport.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay.
I know most of the time a flight plan.
Okay. What practical tips do you have for such a flight trip?
So if you make it for the first time, start slow, fly just for 1 weekend, like to Porto Roche and back, to make a good preparation. And then the next time you can do it more days. You can fly to more airports like Porto Roche, Malé-Justin, Zadar, whatever, Venice, and then fly back. And so time by time you get more routine, and then the more practice you have, the easier it gets for you. Don't start too big. Don't force yourself into something. So really start small, and time by time it will get better. Yes, and that's Mariazell. You can see the runway. Yeah. That's also a ski area here. Yes, if you want to fly to Greece, really, I recommend you becoming an AOPA member because you will get reduced handling fees and landing fees. And if you fly just one trip to Greece, it really pays off because it costs, I think, 65 euros per year. And sometimes it reduces your fees half, so you don't need to pay 200 euros, but just 100 euros. So it really pays off if you land at several airports. And the best tip ever from all this video is don't taxi between the airplanes in Venice. Taxi outside. It's really stupid. Don't taxi between the airplanes. Taxi outside.
Yeah, we almost crashed about 10 airplanes. It was fun.
It was really just half a meter sometimes. So, yeah.
Okay, thanks. Alright. So, is the DA40 your aircraft?
No, it's a club aircraft. We are from Stetten from the flight club, and there is also a Piper and a Diamond B20 and some other aircrafts, and so that's one of the club aircrafts.
You can borrow it.
Sometimes we also fly with the Piper, but for long trips we prefer the DA40 because it has a very nice autopilot and it just has a nice comfort.
Yes, definitely. So how did you get routine?
So since I was 3 years old, I flew with my father. He took me with him in the airplane, and we flew around 800 flight hours all across Europe. So I learned a lot from him during the flights. I got to know all the procedures, and we landed on almost over 250 airports in all over Europe, and so I'm very lucky to have this experience with my father, and so I got a really nice practical experience from these trips. So my father also wrote a book about these trips. It's this book. It's in German only, unfortunately, but you can order this book online. I will put a link in the video description, and so here in the book you can read everything about these flight trips. So we flew all around the Mediterranean Sea, to the North Cape, to the Black Sea, Istanbul, and so on. Yeah, if you want to make such flight trips, it's really interesting. Here you can see a map, and you can read it. So, but German only.
When did you make your flight license?
And yeah, so I didn't have the need to make the flight license because I was always flying with him. So I made my flight license just 2019, so just 1 year ago. But because I'm so lucky to have all these flights with my father, it's not so difficult for me to make this flight. If I would have my flight license just 1 year and I would have not this experience, I would not dare to make such flights. It's just too much to start. You really need to start slowly.
Definitely. Okay, so Ewald, why do you make this video?
Yes, so flying is my hobby, and so I enjoy to fly, and I also enjoy to make videos. It's fun, and a very interesting reason is I get better by watching my own mistakes. So it really helps me improve my skills in the cockpit and become safer. And I think it's a benefit for the aviation community if pilots share their experience with other interested pilots. So what is the next question?
That was it. But if you have any further questions, please don't hesitate and just put them or write them below the video and we will try to answer them, or you will try to answer them.
Let's try. Yeah, so thanks a lot for your many questions. I just want to point out I'm not a flight instructor. I just like to share my personal experience with you. If you want to learn flying, I would recommend you go in a local flight school and really learn it with a proper flight instructor. Yeah, so that's it for today. See you next time.
Happy landing!